Hello, everyone. Welcome back with me, Valerie Williams of Dimensional Talent Streams. I can barely talk today. Had a little bit of technical issues here getting my guest on and us getting together. But without further ado, I am going to bring to you, Dimensional Team Talent Stream audience, Chris Miller in the house, one of my colleagues with a business platform that we share in common, Terry Wilson 3. So Chris, welcome aboard and thank you for joining us today on Dimensional Talent Streams.
Thanks, Valerie. It's good to be here.
Good, good, good. So I've got you on, Chris, to share with our listening audience here. We share a commonality, a couple of commonalities, not only the platform, but also with mindset. Entrepreneur mindset and mindset just in general. But first, share with us, who is Chris Miller? What is this quick pad that you've got in the background? And just share with us who Chris Miller is and how he got started in business. What's his business?
Well, I got started in business as a door-to-door man way back when I was in high school. I met a guy named Tom Pelto, and he came up to me and he said to me, he said, "Hey, you got a good head on your shoulders. If you ever want a job, come look me up." So I did, and I ended up selling Kirby vacuums door to door for 7.5 years with him.
Wow.
And that's where I learned that you got to be, always hustling, right? You got to be out there working. I mean, I worked 6 days a week right then and there. Mm-hmm. So, I've always been the kind of guy who, you just keep hitting it. And QuickPaid here behind me is my company where I help businesses that do business to business type sales. I help them get access to more money so that they can keep running, right? Because most of the time they're working on terms to where it takes them 30 days or longer to get paid for something they sell. So what I do is I help them get paid up front so they don't have to wait for that. So, and if they want a free copy of the B2B business financial strategy report that QuickPaid offers, all they got to do is scan that little link right behind me there with their phone, and it'll take them right to it where they can download it for free.
Nice, sweet. I love that Q code there. That's becoming very popular now with, using Q codes in the business to make it more quick and easy to get the information we need. So now tell us about, we share with our business platforms, we use the Terry Wilson 3 platform for our businesses. Tell us how you got connected with the TW3 platform.
Well, I got connected with the TW3 platform actually because I went broke. I went broke because I was going through a divorce and I became a single dad, and I couldn't get to work at the time I was supposed to get to work because I had to take my son to school, and the school didn't open that early. I was supposed to be at work at 6:30 and the school didn't open the gates until 8. So my company didn't want to work with me on it, so they let me go.
Yeah.
So that's how I started looking for a new solution where I could still be a dad for him and still get work done and make everything function. So I decided I wanted to work from the house. And so I started looking for solutions that would help me do that. That's how I became a broker, which is what QuickPaid is all about. And then I found Terry Wilson 3 to help me get figuring out how to market it. Right. That was the whole thing. It's like I looked at it from a different perspective. A lot of people look at it from a perspective of this is the tool I need to use in order to market my business. I looked at it like a college course on how to market, and the tools were just there with me, but my main focus was I'm going to learn everything I can learn. And that's what I did. I dove into those things.
Exactly. So tell us a little bit about the ethic that you had, because what I hear, you had to have some type of ethic, strong work ethic, go-getter, not give up. So just talk to us a little bit more about your ethic. What do you do when you're coming into these adversities and transitions, these life changes? Tell us just a little bit about what you've learned with your work ethic and bring us up to current with your work ethic even now.
So my work ethic is very simple. When work needs to be done, you go to work. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? If you wanna goof around, you want to play, you want to relax, there's plenty of time to do those kind of things. But when work comes, you go to work. You
Mhm.
know, I mean, I remember a time when I had a business and my business partner kind of screwed me over, and I ended up getting evicted from my own house, right? Because the company owned the house and stuff like
Wow.
that.
Wow.
And it went downhill real fast on like a weekend.
Yeah.
And I ended up living in the park for 3 days, and my business was closed down by the government. And this was years and years back, a long time ago. And I swore I would never be in that situation again. But then fast forward to my divorce, I ended up close to that same situation again. But I
Mhm.
lived in the park for 3 days, and every day I was getting up, I was going down to the Texaco gas station and cleaning up in the sink and going, and I knocked door to door on every business until I found a job. You
Wow.
don't stop because you only got a small window. You got a small window in a situation like that, and then nobody wants you near their shop anymore. You know, so it's like, hey, yeah, I gotta be quit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is good stuff. So you have been through a lot. You had a real interesting journey.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah. And somewhere in there, I spent a decade in the army too, fighting the war. So
So what is it about business that you love, Chris? Being a businessman, entrepreneur, what is it that you love? What is it that has you in that stream as opposed to doing the typical 9 to 5? What is that drive that's in Chris that has him love business so much and has him as his own guy, despite everything he's been through in his life thus far?
what I think draws me most to being in my own business as opposed to working for somebody else is the fact that a lot of times when I've worked for other people. I've been vice president of sales for big national firms and things like that. But when I have something that I want to do when I'm working for someone else, when I see an improvement or I see something that could be done better, that could maybe make us some more money, it's always a committee that has to be assembled, and then they have to think about it and decide on it, and I have to
Right.
present it. You know what? When I'm doing things on my own, I just say, let's try it out and see what happens. If I fail, I fail. You know what? And most of my business ideas fail. I would say, oh, let's take Quick Paid, for example. I mean, Quick Paid is kind of thing where I did it, I don't know, 15 different ways that failed before I got one way that worked.
Right, right, right. But trial and error, and it's not being scared of failure. You know what I mean? Because as
Right.
you're failing, then you learn, okay, real quickly, what's not working, and to highlight those things that are not working to find solutions so that they do work and you get your end result that you want. So, yes. So now talk to us a little bit now about switch gears here and talk about mindset because you had an awesome training a couple weeks ago on mindset that was just like, oh, this is
I did.
what Chris is going to be known for in my book. It was so juicy. And I was like, okay, I'm going to invite Chris on because this was so good. So, talk to us about mindset, why mindset is so important. There's so much out there in entrepreneurship business about mindset and staying motivated and personal development. And there are so many things that contribute to our mindset, so many factors, limiting beliefs, our culture, so many things. But in Chris's book and what he's experienced, what he's learned, tell us your perspective on mindset.
Oh, absolutely. So I liked, by the way, the training that you put together too, where you were talking about it, the digestive system and the gut and all those things being part of it. And that's something that I need to factor into the thought processes that I have too, because I think that does play a lot. The chemicals in your body have a lot to do with the way that your body reacts. So
Right, right.
um, I absolutely agreed with most of those things that you said there. But on top of those things, right? I got a degree in hypnotherapy years back, because I was trying to figure out something for myself. So along the process, you know, what do you do? You go to school, you learn, right?
Right, right,
So,
right.
one of the things that I learned and that most people just don't realize is that we live our lives on a pattern subconsciously.
Mm,
So the subconscious mind pretty much dictates 85% of everything you do, right?
mm,
It just says, you know, this is what you're going to do most of the time.
mm,
So you only got like 12% of actual, 88% of what you do is subconscious. And then the other 12% is actual new thought, right? So your mind just basically runs on patterns, right? And so what happens is when you want to change something, let's say, for example, you want to go on a diet, right? And you say, I want to go on this diet. And so I'm going to start this diet and I'm going to lose this weight and blah, 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 blah. And you got a plan and you work that plan out. 3 days later, you find you're not on that plan anymore. What happened?
right.
I was so sure that I had this down. I knew exactly what I was doing. I made a plan. What happened was your mind on the subconscious level noticed that you deviated from your pattern.
Mhm,
And so it gently corrected you to put you back on the pattern. And it's so slight, it's almost devious, right?
mhm,
it's
mhm,
almost like it's almost like I'm gonna get him now, you know. So it's just very devious about it. It's you know, it's the mother of all influencers,
mm,
right?
mm.
And it just whispers, hey, this isn't you. You like to eat more than this, you know? And you're like, I'm hungry. And then you start eating and you don't even realize what's going on. It all happens on automatic. So you have to literally train your brain
Right.
to look for those things and notice those things so that you can stick to the new pattern that you want, because your brain doesn't know that it's not helping you when it does that.
Mhm,
It thinks it's helping you fulfill your dreams and your goals because you've got a pattern of doing something a certain way. It just
mhm.
assumes you like doing it that way.
Right,
It
right.
doesn't know that you might want to change for the better.
Right, right. That's really, really good. For those of you who are listening and will be listening, you know, what Chris and I are talking about and sharing is on mindset. There are so many different perspectives out there now on mindset. I did a training a couple weeks ago on the 3 optimizations in business. And it really tapped into that we really have 3 brands as opposed to one. And so I'm not going to give away all the goodies on this. For those that are listening, you'll just have to go on my YouTube channel of dimensionaltalentstreams.com, or you can find it on my podcast at terrywilson3radio.com every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So yes, that is really, really good. And I'm just going to keep picking your brain because I love this. This is a part of my wheelhouse. And then, you know, I have my healthcare background and, you know, I've done some psychiatry for about 7 to 8 years. So that factors in as well. So when I got this piece on that we have 3 brains, which is our mind, our heart, and our gut, and factoring everything that I have learned, you know, relating to psychology and what I have been doing in personal development with mindset, I mean, it just was like shockwaves.
Yeah.
So I always like to, when I hear folks talk about mindset, really get their perspective on it. And your training was just so good. So give us some more value bombs, Chris, on, or maybe just some strategies that you do in your day to day to condition your mind. I like to call it the neuro gym. You know, when we're talking about working out and stuff like that with our body, it's the same thing with our mind. We really have to do exercises and do things to condition our mind and really tap into negative thought patterns, really look at what some of our limiting beliefs. And I always refer back to Miss Spelling Bee, Lori Brown, because she did a teaching a while back on what to say when you're talking to yourself. And you know, I kind of factored that in there too when I did my training. And so you think of these conversations that you have with yourself and the negative ones. So how do you deal with this battle that we have of the good versus evil and these negative thought patterns that we have and shutting them down and keeping these good thoughts all the time? What does Chris Miller do to handle that?
I'll be honest with you. I really don't have that many negative thoughts like ever. And I think it's because of self-talk. Back in the 80s, I picked up a book in like, I don't know, 80, 87, something like that. I picked up this book by Scott Alexander, and it's called Rhinoceros Success. You guys can look it up. I'm sure it's still in print somewhere. But Rhinoceros Success is a book that I've used. I basically use it to model the life that I wanted to live. Right. And so part of that, it tells you that you've got to watch your self-talk, right? And so every day in the mirror, one of the things I do is I tell myself, I'm a rhinoceros. I have a damn torpedo spirit. I'm so full of energy. I cannot wait to get up in the morning and start charging. I have a goal to reach whatever my goal is that day, right? I'm going to do that by doing whatever those 3 things that I want to do in order to accomplish that are. And I will not stop until I finish that goal today. And that's what I do every day in the mirror. And you know what? Every day I wake up somewhere between 4:30 and 6 a.m. and I'm ready to go. And I don't need a coffee to get up in the morning, and things like that. I can just go, I'm raring to go because I tell myself I'm going to be, and then I am, so even when things have gotten hard in my life, I just look at it like a stepping stone and I say, okay, I'm a rhinoceros, I'm damn towards, and I just go through it again. I say, here's my goal, whatever this goal is going to be, right at the time. This is my steps that I need to do in order to get there, and then I even took it a step further lately. And I don't know, this information I charge my own students for. I got a school where I teach people how to become factoring brokers like I am at factorcareers.com. But I charge them extra for this information. But I take that information, right? What I used to do in the mirror. Now I'm recording myself doing it and playing it back to myself too. So not only that, but now I'm listening to myself say it. I'm watching myself tell me, and it's just extra stuff. It's like they say in school, right? There are different types of learning, right? So some people can write their spelling over and over and over again, and they'll catch on. Other kids can't do that, right? My son couldn't do that, for example. His teacher would have him write out every single word 5 times. He's got 35 words. That's a lot of writing the poor kid's doing,
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And he still failed his spelling tests,
Wow.
and he was doing that every day for a week. And then the spelling test be at the end of the week. But he doesn't learn that way. You know what I mean? He can't learn by just sitting there copying stuff down. He needed to hear it. He needed to see it. He needed to write it. He needed to do all those things combined so that it caught into his brain and the way his brain wanted it to be.
Right.
So we changed up the way that we did things, and the kid can spell better than me now.
That's awesome. I love it. This is so good. So I'm going to take a step back and talk about this book that you mentioned by Scott Alexander, was it?
Yeah, Scott Alexander.
So tell us, why the rhino? Of all animals, why the rhino?
A rhino is a powerful animal. You know what I mean? No matter, he's got, 2-inch thick skin, and no matter what comes out of him, he just sloughs it right off. He'll just charge straight for what he's going for, and he won't stop until he reaches it. You know what I mean? Anything gets in the way, you got brush in the way, you just charge right through it. You got an animal in the way, you just charge right through it. Leave him laying behind you. You know what I mean? You got a car in the way, you just charge right through it.
Wow.
Well, maybe don't do that if you're on foot. But yeah, that's the concept of the rhinoceros spirit.
Nice. And I noticed that your email is what? You don't have
Rhino19001.
Right. So you really have adopted that philosophy, true and true. So every day you're reminding yourself of of you being a rhino and just charging through. Love it. I was just going to say that I just see you so much, Chris, just doing a lot of motivational stuff, a lot of motivational stuff. I don't know if you've tapped into getting into some online conferences. I know you said you do a charge here for some of the content that you're sharing. So I'm glad I'm picking your brain so that we can hear some of this stuff, because some juicy things comes out on Dimensional Talent Streams. But tell us, I want to kind of stay on this vein. So you don't drink coffee because half of the United States is got to have their coffee in the morning. And they have to have a certain amount. And so I like how you mentioned about the positive talk and talking to yourself, and you're just kind of just focusing on the positive and just telling yourself what you are going to do, not a suggestion as to, well, Chris, Val, I think you're going to do this today. It's really being intentional, really being deliberate, and then going after that thing. So you're just literally breaking through walls, breaking through barriers, breaking through limitations, which is really what you're doing, Chris, is breaking through limitations and barriers. And you've done that in your life and are able to share that with others. I mean, it's just so amazing. We hear terms like breakthrough and all that. And so, I really see that on you, is just having that breakthrough anointing from what you describe and just what you have experienced. The good book says, anointings come by, what we go through, what we've come through, the tests, and there's no testimony until the test comes out of it and you pass it. And so I can really see, that breakthrough anointing, and, you just so embody that through what you've been able to overcome. So it's a nice seal on the deal type of way to come out on the other side. So tell us more.
Over at factorcareers.com, my master's students actually get a book on how to get started using my methods for, being a factoring broker. Mm-hmm. And part of that is a summary of one of my days, right? So this is my average day. I just take them through step by step. It's like, okay, what I did was I came in, and as I went through my day, I wrote down the time and what I did. And then when I did the next thing, I wrote down the time for that and what it was. And then by the end of it, I was like, my God, I do all of that in a day.
Right. It's really surprising to pull back and look.
Exactly. Yeah, because you don't know. I mean, you could go through your whole day and say to yourself, man, I didn't accomplish anything sometimes, but then when you go back and look at it, you're like, oh, you know what? I've been busy.
Yeah, that is me. I like to feel like I've accomplished. And so there are days when I'm like, I've got my to-do list, and I'm going through it and I'm focused or whatever. And then there's days when I just like, I didn't get anything done. But like yesterday, I'm like, I didn't get as much done as I wanted. And then when I sat down and I'm like, no, we really did get a lot done, because it felt like, I work third shift as a nurse, and then I come home and I work my business, and I've conditioned my body to the point where I only need like maybe 4 to 5 hours of sleep, because I do these little power naps and I'm charged. Yeah. And I get up and I hit the ground running. But I have conditioned my body, Chris, to break through that plateau of what my body and my mind is telling me that I'm used to. And that I've conditioned it to say, no, you have to have a certain amount of this. No, I've conditioned my body to say, no, you don't need all of that. You just need X amount to accomplish everything that you want to do. So I can relate in so many ways. So now talk to us, how has all of this affected your business and your success in what you do business-wise? Because, we're relating this to life, of course, but just with, our business owners who are listening, entrepreneurs, MLMers, how has this changed your life, even pertaining to your business?
Well, I would say that usually I do well in business because I have the attitude that, it's just a stepping stone. Mm-hmm. If something goes wrong, you don't let that bother you. It's just like the rhino, you charge ahead anyway. Another thing is that you don't stop until you finish everything each day. right? So like if you come in and you make a plan for your day and you say, these are the things I want to accomplish today, you don't stop until you accomplish them. One of the things that my clients love about me, for example, is because I'll tell them, and I tell them straight up front, I say, look, I am the kind of guy where I don't stop until my day is complete. So if you reach out to me and I can't take your call or whatever, I will call you back before I finish for the day. Now, it may be after hours. I'm not going to say that I'm going to call you by 5, but I will not stop until I have called you back that day. I will call you back that day. So don't get angry with me if I call you back at like 9 o'clock, because that means I'm still working.
Right.
And sometimes I work till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, I don't call people at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, but sometimes I do work till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning on a regular basis. Gary Green called me up while I was in my hotel room, and he's like, I knew you'd be up, man.
Right.
I was like, I'm sitting here making a funnel,
Right. Right. It's before I got on the call yesterday. I'm setting up my app before we got on our, we do these for those who are listening and wondering what we're talking about, with the platform that Chris Miller and I have that our business kind of sits on and so forth. We do masterminds every Wednesday. And so we also have meetings on Monday as well. And so we are doing some upgrades to our platform, very exciting stuff that includes funnels, CRM, and the whole nine. And before we even had that meeting, I was sitting up there setting up my app and trying to get this to shoot on over to my phone. And then I'm, trying to set up this payment method over here and I'm running it. And, and then I jump on the call. And then, I get on the call, take a couple of notes, and then I'm out the door to go do my nursing job, my night job for 9.5 hours. And then I come back in and take a little break, make a couple of phone calls, and then here we are and the day starts. So yeah, but it's so good because when people know that, okay, it's 9 o'clock at night, I wonder if I can call him, it might be too late. It's good to know that, okay, this is Chris Miller and he has a reputation that he's going to get the job done, and hours don't really matter to him until he has completed what he's completed. And so it's good to have that in the back of your mind saying, okay, it's 9 o'clock, it's 9:30. I can call Chris because I know he is going to be working, and it works in your benefit. So I just think that's amazing.
Yeah, so, I tell everybody up front, say, hey, don't worry about it because I will, I'll most likely be up.
Yeah, because I've emailed you and it's like 11:30 midnight. And I'm like, well, I'm going to send it to him anyway. And if he doesn't respond, it's no problem. He'll find it first thing in the morning when he gets up. So I send it right off to you. So tell us if you could share with our listening audience some top action items. What would it be from Chris Miller's book?
Number one action is make a plan. Don't go in just winging it, make a plan. If you have a plan that you work, then sometimes it seems like you're winging it, right? Because you can just fly into it from any moment, no matter where you're at, because generally what you got going on, right? Genuinely where you're going to be, generally where you want to be. And so you can steer things to where you want to go. But, over the years, I've worked in many organizations where they would have me come in to do consulting, for example, for sales. And I would look at the salespeople. And the thing that I would always notice most of all is they would pick up the phone and they would call somebody and they wouldn't have any idea what they were going to do. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, where's this phone call going to take you? You don't know, because if they throw you for a loop, you got nothing that you can do about it. Always plan on a call. Always plan out your process. Always plan out your day. Know what you want to do. If something doesn't go the right way, how are you going to recover from it? As a matter of fact, that's what I talked about at the TW3 conference. I talked about how to make your plan. So that you can make your next multiple 6-figure business right here with the TW3 tools, right? So
come on, Chris, give it up.
Oh, no. You ain't going to get that one out of me.
Well, I'm not going to get it out of you today.
I'm
saying give it up in the terms of what you're hitting on, because my plan is to kind of get a couple of you back from that conference and we'll do a quick little drive-by, because obviously we're not going to hit all of the points in like maybe 45 minutes to an hour, but it'll really give folks a little chance to really see what TW3 is about. And if you missed it, why you missed it, what you need to do to not miss it next year, and even how you can plug in even at this very moment as we speak. So, I got plans for that for you guys.
Well, just in general, though, I give you some free advice there. And in business, it doesn't matter what you're doing, what you're selling, what you're pushing, because you're pushing something, whether it be a service or a product or whatever it is, but it's always the same concept, right? It's a three-pronged system to being successful. And that is develop a plan, work that plan, and then follow up. That's it. If you do those three things, you can't lose. You know what I mean? It's impossible.
Love it.
Now, your thing may not work out, right? Your concept might be off, or something like Quick Paid was. I had to do it several times till I got it right, but it's the same three things over and over again until you get there, and you couldn't lose. And I couldn't lose. Here I am today.
Right. Excellent. Okay, so let's go back and visit mindset again. So what are some of the current things that Chris Miller is doing with mindset?
Same things all the time.
Same things. If it's not broke, don't try to fix it, right?
Why don't try to fix it?
Okay, what would you encourage now folks to do concerning their mindset, especially ones that may be seasoned and done a lot with mindset? What are some suggestions that you could make to those folks?
I would say don't give up on yourself, right? Because a lot of people do. And it gets hard. It gets hard to change something, what you've been doing it the other way for a long time, right? So like if you do something for a certain period of time, eventually it becomes a habit, right? And habits are really hard to break. Why? Because you've got so much time that you've reinforced those habits just by redoing them over and over again, right? So your subconscious mind, every time you try to change it, will say, that's not the pattern. And let's do this the way we're supposed to. So when you're trying to make the change, right, it's going to be hard. There's no way around that. It will be hard. And you just have to do it anyway. You have to say, no, I'm going to stick to this. Put a note everywhere you want to put a note. I've got sticky notes all over my house, and you can do it that way. You just put a note to remind yourself, I want to do this, not that. Because your subconscious will put you back on that pattern automatically. And if you got to, basically what you're doing when you put that note there, and you put it in a place where you're going to see it often, right? Mm-hmm. So you put that note there, your eyes are going to go to that note at one point or another, and you're going to read it, and you're going to remind yourself consciously, this is something you want.
Right.
So then you can keep yourself in the conscious mind, because remember, that's only 12% of your overall thought process. Mm-hmm. The rest is on autopilot.
Right.
So you have to put it there and keep it there. And you have to do that long enough for that to take form against this habit. And all you got to do is build up enough of these new habits to equal up to the old habits. And then you get one more, and it overtakes it. And now you got a new habit.
Yeah. I'm just fascinated by it. I'm in the process of finalizing a book that I've written, as you can see, from the ancient past of the heart. And it deals with just the different conditions of our heart that we have, like an unbelieving heart, a hardened heart. It just talks about those various hearts and how to identify what kind of heart you have. And I've always been fascinated with how the brain works along with the mind, and how that communication system between the heart and the mind. The good book says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And so it's like, okay, your mouth and all of this are connected. So I'm always fascinated with that connection. And so when I did the 3 brains, I'm like, oh, here we go. Well, I'm getting into it.
Yeah.
So when I did this book on the ancient paths of the heart, I know it's developing into a series because I'm going to be getting into a lot of this mind stuff because it's so interesting to look at what's behind our thought patterns. And when we're fighting up against a condition that we've been conditioned to do for so many years and an amount of time, and what's behind that, and all of these other factors, and realizing where we are when these certain things happen in our mind. And I think if people learn or can understand when your mind and you're fighting a thought, what is behind that, and you can learn where you are in the journey of your mindset, that mindset is a journey. And if you can understand the paths of the journey of the mindset, then you can, it helps so that when you know you're at the cusp of a breakthrough, which is where we all want to give up, if we know that when you feel like you want to give up, that means that you are at that point of breakthrough. You are pushing through a plateau. You're pushing through a leveling off. And so if we understand that dynamic, I think it helps us to say, okay, I'm feeling this, but that's my indicator that I'm about to hit a breakthrough. And if we understand some of those dynamics and the processes of why we go through what we go through in our thoughts and in our mind, it just helps to accelerate and really develop that rhino even more so. And I think
Yeah.
it would shrink our journey time if we take those factors in and can really understand that pathway. I mean, it just fascinates me. It's like the geeky side of me. I mean, I won't even get into neurotransmitters and pathways and all that, because when we think about these medicines now that deal with some of these diseases like dementia and ADHD and the things that are being tapped into through these medicines and how it's hitting our brain, then that's another whole can of worms. And if you can think about that and think of, okay, you know, some of these people that are on ADHD medicines, it's just a matter of focusing on this particular area as opposed to band-aiding it with, this medicine here. So it's really fascinating. Anyway, not to get too technical.
No, but you're hitting it right on the head though, because your people need to understand that. And I think a lot of times people compartmentalize their body, like this is my brain, this is my,
Absolutely.
this is my heart, it's
Right.
all one system,
Mhm.
right? It's all one system and it draws from each other and it plays into each other, everything does, like let's say, for example, you get angry, right? You get real mad. What happens? Your blood pressure spikes, right? How's that happen? You know what I
Heart
mean?
rate goes up.
Heart rate goes up. You get all flushed, right? Smoke starts coming out of your ears. I don't know. These
Absolutely.
things are physical reactions to nothing more than a thought. That's all anger was. It was a thought, right? You didn't
Right.
like something. And then from there, your heart got involved, right? And that internalize it on an emotional level, right? And now you're not just thinking about being mad. Now you're physically angry about it emotionally. And the two just keep building on each other and building on each other. And then boom, you have a blow up.
Right, 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 right. And that's exactly how the diseases start. That's how all of the inflammation starts. That's how exactly what you described, how we get these diseases. And
I met a woman years ago who got diagnosed with cancer. And you know what? She didn't go to treatments or anything. All she did was she just told God every day, over and over and over again. All she did, and she would say it, I don't know, 1,000 times in a day.
mm,
And she would just go through life and she'd just keep muttering it over and over again all day long. Thank you for my healing, God. Thank you for my healing,
right,
God. Thank you
right,
for my healing,
right,
God. And you know what? She went back to her next doctor's appointment, um, and she had no more cancer.
right, right.
She didn't get
And
treated or nothing.
and see
She
that,
convinced herself it wasn't there, and it wasn't
right,
there no more.
right.
Because your body can do that.
Right. Yeah, the body is such a fascinating. It just blows my mind. I mean, I could just go on and on and on. But I think too also we complicate things because that just that simple thing that you just shared now and what this woman stated, how many times during a day, thank you for my healing, just a couple
Over
of
and over
words.
again.
She just simplified it. And I
Mhm.
think that is a part of what we do to ourselves. We beat ourselves up by making things so complicated, which contributes to our mindset, which contributes to the negative thoughts, which contributes to, inflammation and the diseases. And then it just keeps spiraling and spiraling and spiraling until we have a condition that we've got to battle and reverse engineer it. you know.
Exactly.
So
I
it's
mean, I'm a spiritual guy. I mean, it could have gone two ways. You know what I mean? It could have been she convinced herself she didn't have cancer and her mind made it happen for her, right? It said, okay, this is what we need to do. So
yeah,
it got together, worked it out with the body until it made it happen. The other way is God got tired of hearing her say it and just said, okay, I want to go ahead and fix this.
and that is
It's like,
biblical.
okay, leave me alone. I got other people here.
Yeah, yeah. And what you just said about God saying, okay, that is actually biblical. There is actually a parable about a ruler. A woman comes to a king and she says, listen, I'm facing this particular injustice and I'm not leaving until you go, da 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 da. But the Lord does, if we cry out to him over and over and over, yeah, he gets to a point where he's like, okay, I've heard you and enough is enough. It's taken care of. So absolutely think of a father. If your child
Okay.
comes to you and they won't let up about something and you're like, all right, all right, all right, fine. Same way
Yeah.
with our Heavenly Father. So absolutely, that's biblical. But Chris, I am going to wrap it up. We're going to wrap it up here on Dimensional Talent Streams. I know we both have to go off and do. I just want to thank you so much for blessing Dimensional Talent Stream with your good, rich, motivational stuff, your mindset, your business stuff. It's always a pleasure to hear and see what you're doing in your business. And
Well, I love what you got going on, and I love that training. I got like a page and a half of notes on that training that you did that night, and I got I've got all sorts of things in my plan about how to research into that and try to make more connections myself. So when I get around to doing that, I'll send you what I get.
Yeah, send it. I'd love to do a collab on that. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to have you back anyways on Dimensional Talent Streams. We're going to have Lori and Bobby and Gary and do a little shindig. So, stay tuned for that because I want to try to do that and just pick everybody's brain, have us all, we're family, have you all come on here and give up the sauce as much as we can within the time frame that we have. Because the whole goal is to bring value, change people's lives, help them and get them to take action. So thank you for coming on, Chris. I'm going to hit stop record, but thank you for blessing us. Give us your business information, where we can find you, tw3radio.com. Give us all of that
Well,
information.
my radio program at TW3 Radio is the Leader Tree, and you can just go there every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to hear me. Or you can just go to the leadertree.com and get all the past episodes there, right?
Excellent.
Then if you want to know, if you have a business and you're doing business to business sales and you would like to get your money quicker, scan that QR code right there and it'll give you a copy of the report for free and tell you a little bit about how to strategize your financial success in your business. And if you are looking for marketing, come over to tw3systems.com and you can talk to me there. But you can also talk to Valerie. You can talk to any of these people that over here at TW3 and everybody. The cool thing about this group is that we're all willing to help each other. So I love it. I love being a member of it, and it's done well for me in my life.
Yes.
Looks like you're on track, Valerie, for many great things to come into your life because of TW3. And
absolutely.
And it's a stepping stone, though.
It
Look at
really
it as
is.
part of the overall strategies.
Yeah, it really is a stepping stone. I mean, I've got the podcast, and that has really been a platform. I use it to do collaborations, and that has really, my podcasting is really taken off. I've got, people inviting me onto their podcasts, and I've even got a radio station from New York that's going to be interviewing me next week. And it's really taking off. I've got guests booked through October. So it's really taking off, and it has been really, really good. And I haven't even scratched the surface yet with the platform. So I am just humbled by it. But Chris, if you can stay, I'm going to hit stop our record, but stay here for a quick second. Dimensional
All right.
Talent Stream folks, thank you for joining. This is Valerie Williams, again, of Dimensional Talent Streams. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also find me on tw3radio.com. Have a good one, everybody. Until next week.